Bushings on electrical distribution equipment are notoriously prone to interference from animals, such as squirrels, snakes, and birds. This interference causes outages, costing the power utilities millions of dollars for system repairs, and more importantly, diminished customer goodwill due to reduced system reliability. Rockman Utility Products offers several passive options to better protect exposed bushings on electrical distribution equipment, including transformers and substation apparatus from inadvertent electrical contact with animals of all sorts. These covers utilize materials specifically formulated for the extreme requirements of the electric utility industry. All Rockman wildlife mitigation products possess enhanced UV stability, including hindered amine light stabilization. It is track resistant and flame retardant per the VO criteria of the UL 94 standard. This means that the Rockman bushing covers will self-extinguish a flame in 10 seconds or less, and will not drip flaming particles, which could cause a fire. Rockman also conducts extensive UV and mechanical testing of our covers to confirm superior performance in the field. The standard soft bushing cover is the simplest means of protection. It is easily placed over the top skirt of the bushing. The top skirt is used to maintain the bushing's performance. It is then secured with either the UV-resistant buttons or a tube that slides over the lip of the cover. A dielectric hose, or stinger cover, can be placed over the first 2 feet of the lead for additional protection. Rockman also offers hard covers that snap onto the bushing. They are available with either solid walls or with a mesh pattern for thermal and visual inspection. The stinger cover may also be used with them. They meet the VO flammability rating per UL 94 requirements, ASTM requirements for mechanical and dielectric strength, as well as UV specifications. For active system protection, Rockman offers the Zap cover and the Zap shield. These animal deterrent devices rely on the electric field present in overhead lines and do not require any load current for operation. When the animal receives the charge, it learns to steer clear of electrical bushings, reducing unplanned outages. The Zap cover utilizes RockShox polymer panels that pick up a charge from the bushing and will deliver a non-lethal electrostatic discharge when contacted by the animal. The Zap shield utilizes the same RockShox polymer and an easy-to-install guard that clips under the top skirt on the bushing. It can be installed with a standard shotgun stick, has a core diameter range of 1 to 2.75 inches, and is particularly effective on snakes. Caution has to be taken when installing the Zap cover and Zap shield, as they must be treated as conductive. Rockman's bushing protective products, innovative devices to make the line work easier, safer, and more productive. Extension arms, also referred to as hot arms, are an integral part of everyday line construction and maintenance. They not only ease insulator and conductor replacement, they add a level of safety for the worker and keep the lights on. They are designed for temporary use on 15 kV circuits. In inclement weather, if left overnight or if the circuit voltage is 34.5 kV, insulators should be installed on the wire holders. Rockman's extension arms are of 2.5-inch electric-grade fiberglass reinforced thermoset resins surrounding a unicell foam core. They meet ASTM F-711 requirements. The cast wire holders can be easily removed and used, with or without an insulator, and have a 1-inch opening that will accept conductors up to 795 ACSR. The cam latch easily captures the wire. If insulators are needed, they can be easily installed in the field by simply removing the wire holder, screwing the insulator into the bracket, then reattaching the wire holder. The crossarm hanger is a cast bracket with a galvanized steel strap. The Rockman hot arms are available with the standard pin mounting bracket, the chain binder mounting bracket, and a mounting bracket using a web strap. Rockman hot arms feature a unique synthetic end cap. This cap not only offers moisture migration protection for the arm, it can be easily removed. By removing the end cap, the hanger can then be removed, along with the wire holders. When it's time to refurbish the arm, Standard metal caps are also available on request. Rockman's Hot Arms, another in an extensive line of products designed to make a lineman's job easier, safer, and more productive.
Why should you choose a UL94 V0 rated cover? You might recognize UL as the standard's body and 94 as the standard number. V0 is the classification under the UL94 standard. There are a variety of fire ratings, but V0 could be considered the gold standard for wildlife guards. When exposed to a flame, the plastic material of a guard with a V0 rating will be able to self-extinguish the flame within 10 seconds or less. While the material may melt, it will not drip flaming particles that have the potential to ignite vegetation or structures below. Now you will see examples of how different types of plastic may behave when exposed to a flame. A typical household plastic, such as a garbage can, food container, or other, is not required to be flame resistant. In this instance, the plastic was exposed to a torch, and after 25 seconds it continued to burn and drip flaming particles onto the grass below. This is a protective wildlife cover that does not meet a V0 fire resistance classification. When exposed to the torch, the material ignites and does not self-extinguish. After a few seconds, the material continues to burn as the flame spreads and small flaming particles from the melted material drip onto the transformer and the grass below. If this were to occur on a mounted pole transformer in the field, there could be a risk of wildfire or ignition of a nearby structure in addition to expensive damage to components. This is a Rockman Wildlife Guard that carries a V0 fire rating. As you can see, immediately after being exposed to the torch, the material self-extinguishes, forming a protective layer on the material. Some of the material may melt and drip, but at no point do flaming particles drip from the material, mitigating the risk of further damage. To ensure the accessories used to protect your network do not increase your risk, make sure your wildlife guards meet a UL94 V0 classification. To learn more, visit www.rockmanutility.com.
Very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our virtual event today. Our topic is ETOS, the Embedded Transformer Operating System. As you probably know, ETOS is working as the central edge for control and monitoring of power transformers. So in short sequences, we are today going to explain the principle of ETOS, the housing and the installation, the inner life of ETOS, the modules and connections, function packages, sensorics, visualization and communication possibilities. And of course, last but not least, we are going to speak about cybersecurity options which come along with ETOS. Therefore, we brought a row of experts to this session. So Thomas Pest will join us, Peter Schelter is here, and Tobias Gruber will assist informing you as our customer about ETOS. Enjoy. So dear customers, so we are here in our co-creation center in front of our ETOS system together with Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
So in this sequence, we would like to talk with you about principles of ETOS, about basic know-how about ETOS. So Thomas, talking about digitalization of power transformers, the digitally connected power transformers behind us. So would you please let us know which basic concepts are available in the market in order to digitalize power transformers?
Yes, thank you, Stefan. Digitalization of power transformers always starts with the topic sensors. Sensors is always the base of information, and the sensors provide all the necessary information what is needed for the digital information. So that means the sensor provides measured data, the data can be analyzed, the data can be saved, and the data can be transferred to a higher level of communication. But in general, we have two different systems here. One is called the edge computing.
Mm-hmm.
The other is the cloud solution. Edge computing means the data stay, in our case, at the ETOS, directly in the ETOS, and the ownership is always at the customer side. The other solution is the cloud solution, where all the data of the sensors are saved in the cloud.
Mm-hmm. So that means digitalization of power transformers means generating data on the transformer directly and supply it either to an edge directly on the power transformer or to a cloud system. Let's talk about MR's approach, MR's solution for digitalizing power transformer. Thomas, can you please update us specifically on our solution? What is behind ETOS?
Yes, the MR approach is clearly the edge computing. ETOS stands for Embedded Transformer Operating System. That means the data are saved always in the ETOS, and the ownership of the data is clearly at the customer side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, we also have the possibility to offer a cloud solution. So the ETOS system is open for both ways, depending on the customer requirements.
Mm-hmm. What specific features can be realized with the system?
The specific features are
control and monitoring, right?
Control and monitoring.
Yeah.
It's not only a function like motor drive operation,
mm-hmm.
what we already know from the tap changer side.
Mm-hmm.
We offer as a monitoring feature, for example, the transformer monitoring,
mm-hmm.
the bushing monitoring, the DGA monitoring, and of course the OTC monitoring,
mm-hmm.
where MR is already very experienced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On the control side, the ETOS offers the possibility of voltage regulation, AVR functionality, and cooling control, which is also
mm-hmm.
possible with the ETOS. Of course, as already mentioned, the drive functionality, the classical motor drive functionality, is still available
in the ethos.
Okay. I just would like to summarize here, Thomas. So actually, it's not a drive mechanism anymore, or only a drive mechanism for the tap change anymore. It can realize more function. So on the one hand, we have control function, automation, voltage regulation, tap changer control, cooling control function, and so on. On the other side, ethos can manage all kind of monitoring functions, process available data on the transformer, analyze the data, and give proactive commands and recommendations. What about communication?
Communication is available in the ethos.
Mm-hmm.
We offer, for example, the visualization and some or all common SCADA protocols are available.
So it can communicate with all kind of protocols to the SCADA system, to the control room. It includes definitely all communication requirements. Thomas, our customers out there, they may ask the question, what is our added value? How can we benefit from the ethos system? Can you please give us an overview about that point?
Yes, of course. Thank you for this important question. Let me answer with 2 examples, just to make it clear. The first example is, just imagine we have a lot of sensors installed at the transformer. All the sensors, if they are connected separately to the higher communication level or to the control room, we have a lot of wiring, and the risk of wiring errors is very high. With the ethos solution, every sensor is connected directly to the ethos cabinet, and we only have one communication line to the control room, for example.
One benefit for sure. Yeah.
But the other benefit is the combination of all the different functionalities which can be included in the ethos. For example, if we have a sensor for the oil humidity, not depending on where it's coming from, can be a third-party sensor, can be an R sensor. And we have the information about the load current and the hotspot temperature. With this information, we can calculate overload diagrams, which we can predict the cooling in the future. So that means we prevent the transformer from a higher hotspot temperature and increase the lifetime of the transformer.
That means the overall transformer system is getting smart. It's getting smart. So ethos is, let's say, not a mechanical drive mechanism anymore as it was Tap Motion ED. It's a system which can be equipped with several functions, individual function based on your specification, on your request. Control function, monitoring function, and of course customized function. All functions can be combined and brought together in the system, and the value of data and of data combination is the result where you can benefit from. Okay, thank you, Thomas. So we learned something about the principle, some basic information about ethos. So thank you very much.
Hey, good morning. This is Tim with PPR. Just checking in from Shelby, Montana today. We're up here working with Reinhausen Field Service on some transformer repairs. Not only does Reinhausen build one of the premier LTCs, low tap changers for your transformer, they also do full service repair and replacement. So if you have a transformer that maybe has an old LTC that maybe need to be replaced or rebuild, give us a call. They will be happy to come and offer their services for that. Any questions, always give us a call or email us at ppreps.com on our website. You have a great day.
Act now to address climate change, pollution, and enhance energy independence. We must cut CO2 emissions. The key is energy transition. The shift to low carbon intensity and renewable energy. Integrating renewables into the grid presents substantial challenges. Aging grid infrastructure resulting in higher vulnerabilities and increased operations and maintenance costs. Renewable energy intermittency resulting in grid instability and congestion. Industry electrification resulting in higher demand and electricity costs. Grid automation plays a key role in the energy transition through its solutions and products. Grid modernization, covering asset management, engineering and consulting, substation digitalization, advanced communications, cybersecurity. Renewable integration, covering zonal autonomous control, wide area protection and control, dynamic system rating, flexible digital devices, microgrids. Industry electrification, covering feeder and motor protection, energy efficiency, power management, demand response. Grid automation enables the energy transition with advanced real-time monitoring, controls, protections, critical communications, and asset performance management for power utilities and industrial customers.
In North America, there are over 60 million pole-top distribution transformers in service. Every year, 3 to 5% of them are re-energized, making this one of the most common operations for linemen. Lightning is a leading cause of transformer failures. Other causes include manufacturing defects, mechanical damage, and different current-related failures. Pole-top transformers are usually connected to the primary supply network by a cutout fuse, which will operate when there are fault currents from the distribution network or evolving faults within the transformer. If these faults result in permanent damage to the transformer's internal components, an internal fault has occurred. A fault can produce several types of gases that, when mixed in particular proportions, can become explosive. When a fault occurs, there is a sudden increase in tank pressure and gases collect in and above the oil. If the internal fault is undetected and the transformer is re-energized, the risk of a violent failure increases. The explosion seen here is an example of one of the hazards line workers may face when re-energizing transformers that have an internal fault. Industry studies conclude that 1 in 5 transformer re-energization operations involves a transformer with an internal fault. To reduce risk, utilities have developed thorough but time-consuming procedures. Unfortunately, these procedures are not always followed because of the urgency to restore power quickly. To identify faulted transformers and enhance line worker safety, IFD Corporation developed the Internal Fault Detector, or IFD. The IFD sensor is a mechanical device requiring no electrical connections. When an internal fault occurs, the pressure increases suddenly. This triggers the highly visible orange fault indicator flag to pop out of the side of the transformer. An IFD-equipped transformer with the highly visible orange flag displayed must be taken out of service and replaced. After the IFD activates, it stays sealed to prevent oil spillage when removing faulted transformers. The flag has been designed for easy identification in daylight and in the dark with a flashlight. Note that the orange indicator flag cannot be reset. If the fuse cutout is open, but the IFD is not activated, the chances are the transformer is okay to be re-energized, providing all normal fault checks are done. Nothing can be considered 100% when it comes to safety. The IFD serves a dual purpose, as a fault detector and as a pressure relief valve, or PRV. During hot days or heavy loads, the transformer will heat up and the pressure inside the transformer tank will gradually increase. If the pressure inside the transformer reaches the PRV activation level, the PRV opens, allowing air to escape. It closes when the pressure is reduced. The IFD PRV can also be operated manually, just like other transformer pressure relief valves. Installing IFD-equipped transformers is almost identical to other transformers. The only difference in the process is the removing of the shipping lock once the transformer is mounted. Note, the shipping lock must be in place when transporting or handling a transformer with an IFD installed. IFDs are inexpensive to purchase and easy to install in new transformers during manufacturing. They can also be retrofitted in existing transformers. When installed on the side of the transformer above the oil level, the IFD does not interfere with any of the electrical components inside the transformer. The IFD is installed in single and three-phase pole-top and pad-mounted transformers, as well as voltage regulators. The IFD provides line crews with the reliable information they need when troubleshooting distribution transformers. The benefits are, it's faster and safer for line crews to restore power, improve network reliability and customer service, extend asset life, avoid environmental damage, and create a safer job environment. As modern utilities strive to continually improve the efficiency of supply networks, the implementation of IFDs is key to enhancing the safety and performance of your distribution infrastructure.
Each year, worldwide, wildfires destroy millions of acres of forest and cause billions of dollars in damage and even death. Researchers who analyzed 2 decades of U.S. records found that from 1992 to 2012, human activity was responsible for 84% of the wildfires and 44% of the area burned in the United States. So far, in 2020, there have been over 9,069 wildfires that have burned close to 4.2 million acres in California. As of November 7th, the total number of wildfire-related fatalities statewide is 31, and over 10,488 structures have been destroyed. This video will focus on those wildfires caused by overhead conductor failures and recommended solutions to prevent them. In 2019, after experiencing some of the most catastrophic wildfires in U.S. history, the California Public Utility Commission requested that all electric utilities located in the state complete a comprehensive survey with specific metrics encompassing the 5 years from 2015 to 2019. A portion of that data shows a total of 17,008 overhead conductor failures, 8,198 wire-down incidents, and 2,039 splice clamp connector failures, each with a probability of wildfire ignition. That's an average of more than 1 incident per day with an associated probability of wildfire ignition. Between 2015 and 2019, utility-ignited wildfires in California caused 115 fatalities and destroyed 25,544 structures. According to existing ignition data reporting, the total number of ignitions were 759, with nearly $32 billion in destroyed assets. The U.S. power grid, which could be considered the largest machine on Earth, was mostly built after World War II, from designs, equipment, materials, and technology that primarily date back to the 40s and 50s. Its 7,000 power plants are connected by power lines that total more than 5 million miles, all managed by 3,300 utilities serving 150 million customers, according to industry group Edison Electric Institute. The whole system is valued at $876 billion. Smart grid technology focuses on detecting or monitoring problems in the grid, while the true goal is to extend the life of aging transmission and distribution equipment. And the best method for doing so will be to prevent failures that cause ignitions from occurring in the first place. There really is a lot of truth in the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. While the focus on wildfires related to climate change is popular, another major factor related to the increase in wildfires is the fact that 80% of our electrical grid is past or approaching the end of its 40 to 70 year life cycle.
Roughly around the turn of the century, the industry began to notice an increase in reported connector failures. Initially, it seemed to have been a West Coast issue, so there was thought that it might be related to salt-laden easterly winds coming off the Pacific. However, over the course of the next few years, it became very apparent that the same issues were occurring in Illinois, Minnesota, South Dakota, pretty much everywhere. Speaking with my colleagues in the American National Standards Institute Committee on Electrical Connectors, ANSI C119.4, others in the industry were observing the same thing. With the phenomenon being so widespread, it was determined that it was something besides salt air, and it was noticeable in all types of connectors, but especially automatic splices, and we began digging into the phenomena and learning what really goes on inside the lowly electrical connector. Up to this point, electrical connectors were considered permanent, and they were advertised as such. Beginning in the 1970s, the majority of transmission construction utilized single-die compression connections in both mid-span splices as well as compression dead ends. There has been a tremendous increase in the number of failing compression connections, due in part to this single-die design. Prior to the year 2000, mineral oil-based inhibitors were standard and would not handle the heat developed by aged connectors, particularly when they're operated at higher temperatures. Early on in our quest for knowledge, we dug into the history of connector design and the early establishment of connector standards developed to qualify connectors for use in utility applications. A principal point that stood out was operating temperatures. The original copper standards listed a 40 degrees C rise over a 30 degrees C ambient. Basically, that's a 70 degrees C maximum conductor temperature, and thus the aluminum standards began at that point. And then, based on studies by the manufacturers of ACSR conductor, that moved to 75 degrees C. ACSR was and still is rated for continuous operation not exceeding 75 degrees C. That set off some alarm bells based on one major phenomenon, deregulation of the electric utilities, as this had led to loading lines beyond their maximum capacity, often operating in the realms of 100 degrees C or even higher. Also, demand for electricity has grown 10% over the last decade. Even though there were more energy efficient products and buildings developed than ever, and as Americans rely increasingly on digital devices, and as summers get hotter, particularly in the southern regions of the U.S., seasonal demand for air conditioning grows. The problem is only getting worse. Rather similar to everything else, increasing temperature tends to accelerate aging, and that applies to the electrical interface of connectors as well. The other major criterion applied to the design of connectors at the time was to design them for a planned service life of only 30 years. Well, these were the criteria and state of the art in the 1940s and 50s. Extensive research questioning numerous utility personnel and design engineers of connector manufacturers, and considering the hundreds of connector failures we had investigated in part, it comes to a general conclusion that utility class connectors typically provide a useful service life of 40 to 70 years.
So last fall I received a call from a large southern utility where they were planning on cutting into one of their transmission lines in order to feed a new substation. After installing brand new towers, new insulators, brand new compression dead ends, they then had their crews immediately install clamp star dead end assemblies to permanently shunt the new compression dead ends. Now if you think about it, it might seem a bit odd to install clamp stars immediately following the installation of new compression dead ends. But the fact is that they were connecting onto existing weathered conductor. That made them very uncomfortable, given the unpredictability of performance between connectors and weathered conductor. So they decided the best guarantee to prevent any problems in the future was to permanently protect them with clamp star. And this point is very important to understand. Our product is specifically designed to be installed on weathered conductor. It was not designed for new construction, but specifically designed to restore the integrity of your transmission line once it's been determined that you have failing connectors. The definition being the connector is running hotter than the temperature of the conductor.
When it comes to extending the life of overhead conductors, it's pretty simple. Clamp star is an engineered mechanical and electrical shunt that significantly reduces whole span wire replacement cost when installed over a connector or on a damaged portion of conductor to function as a permanent bypass electrical connection while maintaining tension in the conductor. Clamp star eliminates replacement of overhead splices and repairs damaged bare conductors through an easy, quick, and permanent fix. Clamp star is also used to increase the performance of existing splices and other connectors, clamps, and fittings for the purpose of increasing line ampacity that may presently be limited by such devices.
It's a bit cliche, but I believe it to be extremely applicable in our case within our company. We do one thing. We restore the mechanical integrity and uprate the electrical integrity, thereby extending the life of your aging assets. This is paramount in relation to wildfire mitigation, and we have not wavered on our commitment, remaining focused on that one thing, and honestly, we do it exceptionally well.
Since 2008, Classic Connectors USA has been manufacturing engineered electrical mechanical shunts under the trade name Clamp Star. Hundreds of thousands of Clamp Star units have been installed to protect people and property and to prevent wildfires. To learn more, please visit classicconnectors.com.
name is Steve Sims, Managing Director for Tabarita Electric. We have a facility in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and we have a shop in Largo, Florida. Not to be confused with Key Largo, but Largo outside of Tampa. We do manufacturing of circuit breakers, and we also do manufacturing of reclosers. This recloser right here is for 15 kV and 27 kV applications. One of the things that we like very much about this, and what a lot of our customers like about this, is we keep inventory of the switch. Therefore, we can deliver in about 8 to 10 weeks, whereas our competition is generally running about 26 weeks and some even more. So this is 15 kV and 27 kV, and then we have a new 38 kV that we'll show you in just a minute. Guys, this is our 38 kV. This is our newest design. And this comes in the Smart 5 version, and that's a gang-operated recloser. And then we have a Smart 4, which is a single-phase trip device. That comes with isolated poles, and we can move those poles as far away from each other as we want, which is very beneficial right now to some of the forested areas and some of the areas that are concerned about fires and so forth. One of the things about this is we're shipping in about 12 weeks. Again, as opposed to 26 weeks or more. One of the great things about this device is the accuracy for the voltage sensors. Very, very important to utility customers and solar customers alike these days. So we're offering 0.5% accuracy across the whole temperature range of the device. So really suitable for all sorts of environments, including low temperature environments and also high temperature environments. We look forward to working with you guys and talking a bit more about the details and also visiting with your customers. So give us a call. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Hi, I'm Keith Root of Pacific Power Reps. At Pacific Power Reps, we provide a direct local connection between the electrical manufacturers we represent and the utilities in the territories where we live. Our goal is to provide a best match between manufacturer and electrical utility need for all projects. Today I demonstrated the air switches manufactured by one of our manufacturers, Mindcore Technologies. They're a manufacturer of air switches for substation application rated up to 800 kV and 5,000 amp. Mindcore air switches are highly reliable and are designed to last for the lifetime of the substation installation. I've got a demonstration trailer where I can provide a hands-on look at the operation and construction of their center brake, vertical brake, and double brake switches. Both are electrical operators and manually operated devices. Lineman's Rodeo, held in Gresham, Oregon. Linemen from over 7 states here to compete, along with vendors, manufacturers, families, manufacturers reps. Great show for all. Hope you can join us next year. And thanks and appreciation from Pacific Power Reps for all your support.
Hey, this is Tim Lish with Pacific Power Reps down here in Ivins, Utah today, delivering a transformer from Virginia Transformer for Rocky Mountain Power Pacific Corp. This is a 20 MVA transformer sitting behind me. I invite you to go to our website at ppreps.com and take a look at some of the quality lines that we do carry. Get with us. We'll be happy to provide you with a great transformer and all the parts to go with it.